Hello everyone, my name is Augusto Argandoña. Welcome to my watercolor tutorials. This demonstration is about another one in my series of demonstrations about how to paint a beach scene in watercolors. I have been doing quite a few of these tutorials about painting beaches or beach images, beach scenes, beach environments with watercolors. This one is a fairly simple one as all of the other ones, except in this one I'm doing this area as a walking the path and meandering in a corner in a turn that way and going down to the beach area. So this there will be some grasses, etc. over here. This will be a path that you walk in over here and kind of go down towards the beach. And then I'm going to have the water in the background and some clouds and so forth. So as before, this demonstration is being done on arches, 140-pound cold pressed paper. So let's get to the fun part of this demonstration, which is painting. So with that in mind, I'm going to add some water to the sky area. I'm not touching the horizon line because I want that barely dry. Just barely touching, barely above the horizon line. But I'm going to add quite a bit of water in that whole area. And I'm using right now a mop brush. So I'm going to make a nice mixture of manganese blue and ultramarine blue. There we are, mostly ultramarine. And I'm going to just add some, make the sky look like it was pretty much a wind-blown clouds that are not defined. They don't have too much of a shape, just a wind-blown look to the clouds. I'm going to bring a little bit more of those colors. I'm going to intensify those colors a little bit more. And let's start at this corner, and then just like that, leaving a little bit of white towards the horizon. And that's pretty much it for the sky. So now I'll clean my brush and put that brush away, and I'm going to start using my other brushes, which for the most part I prefer the flat brushes. So with that in mind, I'm going to start, I'm going to pick up some more water with my 1.5 inch brush and bring some water to this area where the grasses and the sand will be. There we are. A little bit more over here. Have this area kind of somewhat saturated with water because when I paint these areas, it's going to be fairly soft. Okay, there we are. So now I will make a mixture of brown matter, a little less water in my brush now. Yeah, brown matter and cobalt blue makes a really nice gray color. I'm going to add a little bit more of the cobalt blue. There we are. And I'm going to add a little bit of this colors here. Like that. See, because the paper is fairly wet, everything is soft right now. Like that. before that dries, I clean my brush and bring some burnt sienna into that area also, over here, like that, and a little bit over here, a little bit in this area in the foreground, like that. And that's about it for that, for the water in that area. Now, I have to check to see if this area is dry. So what I'm going to do is with a thirsty brush, I'm going to remove that little area. And there we are. I'm going to leave that alone. I can see by the sheen on the paper that that area is still kind of, my sky is still damp, so I'm going to remove more of that. I don't want any bleeding from when I paint the water into the sky. So I'm going to remove that, and also I'm going to blot some of that out like this. Okay, now that should be okay. So I'm going to start painting the water, and I'm going to use some cobalt teal and the blue, cobalt blue, and start over here and lightly touch the paper, and with the narrow edge of my brush I'm painting the horizon line. Let's see if it bleeds into the sky. I don't think it's going to. Well, a little bit there, but we'll take care of that later. And there, so I'm going to take care of that. So now I'm going to, having done that, I'm going to bring a little bit more of those colors. In some areas, leaving a little bit of the white of the paper to show the breaking of waves, the crest of the waves, like that. So now I'm going to start bringing some ultramarine blue. Like that. I'm getting a little bit of less of the blue in some areas. I'm going to bring in some raw sienna to start changing to a little bit of a greenish tint to the water. There we are. There. And towards where the waters the waves are beginning to break onto the sand, I'm going to increase the value of some of the teal color with the raw sienna, which has a little bit of green in it. Like that. There, a little bit more of the cobalt blue. There we are. There. And now I'm going to bring a little bit more of the ultramarine blue in some of these areas, not too much, but I'm not doing away with those whites, because that's what determines the way the breaks and where the crest of the waves are coming onto the shore. but I'm going to do away with this one over here in this edge. There we are. Okay, so that area I'm going to take care of when the paper dries with my brush. And this area is still kind of damp. It's beginning to dry now. So before it dries too much, I'm going to bring some water to this area, a little bit to this area too. There. There we are. Okay, so now I'm going to make a nice mixture of raw sienna, quite a bit of raw sienna actually, and some cerulean blue, a little bit of aureolin yellow, and while the paper is damp over here, I'm going to start adding some of those colors down there to that little incline in the sand. These are the base colors. I'm not doing too much of it right now. Put a little few areas of the color there like that. I'm going to bring a lot more raw sienna and aureolin yellow, and do some in this area too. This. Like that. Bring in some leaves, a little bit of the white. As I said before, this is just the base color for now, but I'm going to be creeping a little bit of those colors right into the path like that. And bring that over there like that. More raw sienna. And this time I'm going to use a little bit of cerulean blue. More cerulean blue actually. Get it not much greener for the grasses that are going to be here. Bring some of that green over here too. And a little bit over here. Like I said, this is the base color for now. I think I'm going to bring some of this over here and then open this area a little bit more. Like that. Okay, clean my brush, and now I have to get some more raw sienna, which I'm going to do that. I'm going to put some in my palette. There we are. And this area, I can still see the sheen of the wet paper in that area, so I'm going to wait a little bit. So in the meantime, I'm going to start doing some of the tall grasses and some of there's some bushes over here. I don't know what they are, but there are some there. So I'm going to barely touch the water with my mop brush. Get some more of that raw sienna. And this time I'm going to use ultramarine blue. And this water is dry now, so here come those bushes. It's too much water in my brush. I'm going to minimize that. I don't need all the water in the brush. There's those little bushes there. In fact, I think I'm going to change the brushes. This mop brush is a nice brush, but I have more control with my number 10 round. And that's what I'm going to use to do this little bush. Here we are. There. A little bit more raw sienna. And this time I'm going to use some undersea green mixed with that. A little bit more of the undersea green and some cerulean blue. And here we go. A little bit of a bush there. There. And I'm going to be bringing some Payne's Gray into that mixture and get that green a little darker, especially in the lower area over here. And bring some sepia also into that mixture, so I can make the lower area of this bush a little darker. There we are. And keeping, because the paper over here is still damp, that transition from this dark area to the grasses is soft, so I'm going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to bring a little bit more cerulean blue into this mixture and do a little bit of this grass, weeds over here too. This little bush, I don't know what kind of bush it is. I'm going to do that. Bring my brush, bring some aureolin yellow into that. Bring some of the aureolin yellow here too. There. And now, so this is drying rather nicely, but still there's some sheen there. This is almost dry. So I'm going to do a little bit of the water down there. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch flat brush, get some burnt umber, and do the wet sand over here. There we are. And leave the rest pretty much white. While that is drying, this is dry now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, with a clean brush, I'm going to add some water to this area. I'm not wetting the paper, I'm dampening the paper there like that. And now with the flat brush, small flat brush, I'm going to pick up some of this gray and do some of the areas kind of soft in the areas that are where there may be footprints or something like that in the sand. Some irregularities in the sand where, you know, people step and disturb the sand. Bring some of the brown there too. little bit of rose madder, mixing that gray. There, like that. So, but I think I'm gonna remove some of it and kind of soften it a little bit more. Like that. There it is. There, now we're talking. There it is. That's the way I want it to have that area to look. Okay, this is beginning to dry. Now is the time to do what I'm about to do. I'm going to add more raw sienna to this mixture with this green, and then separating the bristles in my brush this way, I'm going to start doing some of the shapes of the grasses. I'm going to start over here, like that. Like that. A little bit more sepia. Pretty much almost a dry brush effect on this green. And do the same thing, separate the bristles like that, and do the grasses here. You have to hold your brush way back to do this. If you hold your brush like this, you're going to lose control. Like that, there. There we are. I need to remove some of the moisture from the brush. We do this again. There. Bring some of that into the sand. Like that. I'm going to darken some of those areas. I'm going to bring some ultramarine, kind of cool it down. And there we are. Like that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Nice and very soft and delicate grasses growing like that. Now I'm going to clean my brush a little bit. Bring a little bit more of the aureolin yellow and raw sienna. And do some in these little larger ones in this area. I'm going to be mindful of those areas where the sand is, you can see through a little bit of the sand there, so I'm going to do that, leave those alone. Now I'm going to come bring that green and do a reverse brush strokes. Use the edge of the brush and do some tall grasses. Do a little bit of those grasses over here too. Growing out of the sand. There, like that. There. Okay. Now we go the opposite direction over here. There's some of the tall grasses. Some over here. And that's pretty much it. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit more water to one side, possibly I would say probably this side. Like that. Now bring more of that, those colors that I originally did. I'm going to bring some ultramarine blue into that mixture. Add a little bit more of that cool color over here. Like that. Clean my brush really good. Remove most of the moisture from the brush and kind of even this out. There. Okay. And this area is pretty much done. So now I'll take a flat brush, and this is dry now. So we're going to take care of this. There. All right. So lastly, I'll take some more ultramarine and do the horizon a little darker. Maybe some Payne's gray mixed into that. And we'll do go this way. Get rid of some of this dark and do that horizon line straight. There. Last, I'm going to add some more sepia to my greens over here. A little bit of under sea green, and do some of the tall grasses over here. Like that. There. Okay. So the beach is done. Clean my brush, then I have to get some of the gray that's on my palette, a little bit of sepia to it, and do some of the birds that grow, that fly around the beach, seagulls. This is dry. There. Dry. Okay, some here. Like that. right. This beach area is done. So I'm going to remove this tape and I will show you how this looks like. This is dry. I'm not going to sign it yet because this area is still wet. I'll remove this tape. Oops. Oh, okay. This tape is pretty strong. And I'm going to put this on a black background so you can see how this looks. And there's the beach. Now I'm going to minimize this so you can see a little bit better. And there it is. The path to the beach. Move this a little bit like that. Path to the beach, very simple. You saw how I did the sky, very simple. Leave some areas of white, kind of wind blown. The water and the sand, doing some grays, some cool grays, some warm grays, leaving some whites here and there. And you saw how I did the grasses and the bushes. So that's one of the simplest ways to paint a beach scene with watercolors. Thank you very much for watching my demo. I hope you enjoyed my painting. Until the next time, goodbye.